Welcome to LFC Transfer Hub. Dominic Szoboszlai transfer talks set it all as Real Madrid begin another Liverpool campaign. When Jurgen Klopp was first permitted to speak to Dominic Szoboszlai after Liverpool had triggered the £60 release clause in his RB Leipzig contract, the Hungary captain revealed that it was as though the pair had known each other 1,000 years. The ease at which Szoboszlai was able to converse with Klopp was all he needed to sign up to what was an ambitious rebuilding of an engine room that had been run into ruins by the summer of 2023. During the chat, the pair were said to have spoken about plans for how he would be used in a new-look midfield, the Anfield atmosphere, and the harmony of a dressing room that has retained its nucleus during a glittering period between 2019 and 2022. Georg Schmadtke, who was working as the club's short-term sporting director, initially believed the club were overpaying for the Hungarian. But with the German on board to essentially facilitate the deals Klopp was seeking to get over the line, the fee was triggered, and Szoboszlai signed at the end of June that year. It would perhaps be inaccurate to suggest signing Szoboszlai was the culmination of a deal that had been in the works for some time, however. While Liverpool have often prided themselves on their ability to strategically plan for the long term, the absence of a full-time sporting director and the mounting responsibilities placed on Klopp as a result meant the deal was executed relatively swiftly for a club who have tended to pore over the finer details before any green lights are given. The deal struck with Brighton for Alexis Mac Allister, which was formally ratified earlier that month, was overseen by the outgoing Julian Ward, who formally handed over the sporting director reins once the Argentina international had signed. What followed was a 3-week dearth of developments, which allowed speculation to rage from outlets who knew Liverpool were in search of further reinforcements in the middle of the park. Ryan Gravenberch had been a long-standing target, dating back to his emergence at Ajax, but he was only one of 4 who was being assessed, to varying degrees at the time, alongside Borussia Mönchengladbach's Manu Cohn, Kefren Thuram of Nice and Gabri Veiga, who plied his trade at Celta Vigo in 2023. The Under-21s European Championship complicated matters for a Liverpool recruitment department who were keen to continue their early rebuilding, and while Gravenberch was no one on that aforementioned shortlist, it was unclear at the time what Bayern Munich's plans were for the young Dutchman for the campaign ahead, hence why he only signed after the term had started. Liverpool considered Szoboszlai a more viable alternative to Mason Mount, who had been attracting interest due to his contract situation at Chelsea, his status as an England international and his quality across a number of positions. The £60 price tag Chelsea were demanding, later paid by Manchester United, was enough to see Liverpool explore alternatives, which took them to Szoboszlai, whose agreement was concluded within a week due to the release clause being set to expire on June 30. Talks were stepped up on Monday of that week, and by the Friday evening, with the terms due to run out, Liverpool reached the agreement with Leipzig, a club with whom a long-standing relationship continues. A lot of water flowed down the Danube, was how one put it when the speed of the negotiations was brought up. If it was a deal that rubber-stamped relatively quickly, however, the risk was mitigated by the usual dossier of data analysis that accompanies every transfer target and a number of glowing character references that both Klopp and Schmadtke sought out about Szoboszlai. Friends and former colleagues who had worked with the then Leipzig man were glowing in their appraisals to the then Reds manager. Anfield insiders also spoke about his ability as a natural leader, and his status as Hungary captain in his early 20s was proof enough of that, but it is a quality he has only developed further in recent months. "This is a signing for our present and also for our future," said Klopp at the time, with a statement that remains as prescient as the day it was uttered nearly 2 summers ago. 10 goals for the season now sees him second in the list of top scorers behind Hugo Ekitike and his 4 assists, and as many goals in the Champions League was only bettered by Real Madrid's superstar Kylian Mbappé in the group stages of Europe's revamped competition. Obviously he has been very good, says Virgil van Dijk. He is also a player who I think can still make the next step in terms of being a leader for this team. It starts by leading by example, and that's something he has done so far this season. But also everything around it. There is still progress to be made, and that's a good thing in my opinion, so hopefully he will be very important for the years to come at Liverpool. The £116 capture of Florian Wirtz had left many feeling, initially, as though Szoboszlai's place was under threat. A hard-pressing no-10 full of boundless energy was about to be replaced by a lithe playmaker whose gifts centered around touch and technique. The adaptation period for Wirtz in English football, coupled with the need for Szoboszlai to help out at right-back at times, has meant game time has not diminished for the 2025 Premier League title winner, and the player himself backed himself privately to remain a vital component of the team, insisting fierce competition was par for the course at a club like Liverpool. Talks around a new deal are ongoing, with the 25-year-old eager to extend his stay on Merseyside. If supporters have started to become unnerved by the apparent lack of progress, which was something Szoboszlai claimed was not in his hands recently, the prospect of Real Madrid interest has only led to increased anxiety of late. In an interview with Marca, widely regarded as the publication with its ear closest to the ground in Madrid, Hungary boss Marco Rossi said, "Szoboszlai always had one dream, to play for Real Madrid. Because of the very close and direct relationship I have with Dominik Szoboszlai, since he started playing football as a child, Real Madrid has always been his dream. I don't know if he'll be able to take that step, because the decision depends on him and also on his club. I absolutely don't rule out the possibility of him staying at Liverpool and renewing his contract there, especially because he's highly valued within the club. He's a very important player for Liverpool, and Liverpool is one of the biggest clubs in the world." As far as statements from national coaches go, it was an unwanted one from Liverpool's perspective, but it was instructive and encouraging to hear Matthias Esterhazy, the No-8's agent, play down the prospect of a move away from Anfield this week. The Hungarian representative was quoted as saying, "It's completely normal for the public, when Dominik is performing like this, to talk about what's next and if there's something higher. For us it's not a topic. We are mid-season. He has a lot of work ahead of him in the Premier League, the FA Cup and the Champions League. He has said many times how important this competition is for him. So at the moment to talk about what will happen in the summer, in my opinion, is not correct. Not to mention, Liverpool are one of the biggest clubs in the world, and Dominik is in a position within the team that has a lot of potential, so we are not looking outside or elsewhere." It's understood Szoboszlai has plans to remain beyond the end of his current terms, which are set to expire in 2028, and further cement himself as a modern Anfield great. Comparisons with Steven Gerrard have been wisely played down, particularly when he was asked about the iconic Red skipper in the aftermath of Saturday's 3-0 win over Brighton and Hove Albion. "I'm not playing a Steven Gerrard season, although he was a legend for the club," Szoboszlai told TNT Sports. "I just try to do my own story, and I try to do my best every game. Hopefully we can go on until the end." The answer, like his performances this term, was further evidence of a maturity both on and off the pitch, and while Szoboszlai has also previously downplayed his growing stature in the dressing room, insisting earlier this season the squad has enough leaders already. It is believed that the captaincy, long-term, is an ambition he harbors. "Is he a future captain? That's all on the manager, I think," says Van Dijk, "one for further down the line it seems. For now, the next step appears striking the right agreement to extend the stay."